What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. A critical review done by Nathan Miller. What Got You Here Won't Get You There discusses the basic premise that there are a handful of workplace habits that often keep successful people from making the next big leap forward in their career. In the book, the author Marshall Goldsmith seeks to identify those habits and help you to overcome them so that you can make that next big leap in whatever you're planning to do with your life. In this book, Goldsmith discusses how whenever someone achieves success in the workplace, they generally get a very positive feeling out of it. After this, their self-esteem may go up and they may begin to have more confidence in their abilities. However, this only goes so far. Often when a person has a string of successes, they begin to adapt to a handful of beliefs that really aren't true. They begin to believe that they are more responsible than they actually are for the success of projects, and they begin to believe that their value is much higher than reality actually shows. This is a human failure, one that anyone with some measure of success can fall to. It is a dangerous thing to ever believe, even if it happens to be true. It alters your own behavior in a lot of ways and sets you up for failures, not for success. This trouble with success often turns into the form of destructive habits in the workplace. In this book, Goldsmith analyzes 20 of these destructive habits. The first one, winning too much, is the need to win at all costs and in all situations. When it matters, when it doesn't, and when it's totally beside the point. In this next short clip, Goldsmith analyzes this habit even more.
Reality is grossly overrated. Delusional is okay. It just makes it hard to hear what we don't want to hear about ourselves. Now, teaching leaders what to stop. Had the privilege of spending over 50 days with Peter Drucker, world's greatest authority on management. He said, we spend a lot of time teaching leaders what to do. We don't spend enough time teaching leaders what to stop. And that's what kind of led to my book. Now, annoying habits that can hold us back. Yes, I tried to meet as many as you as I can, and I'm looking around the room. Yes, I'm looking in your eyes. The first disease of successful people I can see running rampant in this room. What is this problem called? Winning too much. Now, what does that mean? If it is important, we want to win. Meaningful, we want to win. Critical, we want to win. Trivial, we want to win. Not worth it, we want to win anyway. We like winning. I'm going to give you a case study that 75% of my successful clients fail. Yes, I will predict most of you will fail this case study. And when I say fail, they fail themselves. They say, what I would do is the opposite of what I know I should do. Are you ready? You want to go to dinner at restaurant X. Your husband, wife, partner, friend, or significant other wants to go to dinner at restaurant Y. You have a heated argument. You go to restaurant Y. This was not your choice. The food tastes awful. The service is terrible. Option A, critique the food. Point out our partner was wrong. This mistake could have been avoided if only they would have listened to me, 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 me. Option B, shut up. Eat the stupid food. Try to enjoy it and have a nice evening. What would I do? What should I do? 75% of my clients, what would I do? Critique the food. What should I do? Shut up. How many people in the room have ever critiqued the food before? Raise your hands. Food critiquers. Yes, a room filled with food critiquers. Was this a smart thing or a stupid thing? Stupid. And as stupid as it was, yes, it was stupid. I'm going to give you an example now that is so hideously stupid. It will make that one pale by comparison. And yes, I will predict that most of you have done this. Are you ready? You have a hard day at work, a hard day. You come home. Your husband, wife, friend, or partner is there. And the other person says, I had such a hard day today. I had such a tough day. And we reply, you had a hard day. You had a hard day. Do you have any idea what I had to put up with today? Do you think you had a hard day? We are so competitive, we have to prove we are more...
Goldsmith later goes on to analyze the rest of the 19 destructive habits. The destructive habits include adding too much value, passing judgments, making destructive comments, starting with no, but, or however, telling the world how smart we are, speaking when angry, naivety, or let me explain why that won't work, withholding information, failing to give proper recognition, claiming credit that we don't deserve, making excuses, clinging to the past, playing favorites, refusing to express regret, not listening, failing to express gratitude, punishing the messenger, passing the buck, and an excessive need to be me. In this section, Goldsmith argues that many people lose sight of what's happening right then because they spend their time planning out their long-term goals, not realizing that right then was often the best time to take that first step to whatever they have in mind. In fact, obsession with goals is the underlying factor in many of these bad habits. Through analyzing these bad habits, Goldsmith furthers his thesis. Goldsmith later adds on to his thesis by offering solutions to these bad habits. The solutions include feedback, apologizing, telling the world, listening, thanking, following up, and practicing feed forward. In this next short clip, Goldsmith analyzes feed forward even more.
Next, let's talk about coaching for behavioral change. My goal is to teach you pretty much everything I've learned in the area of behavioral coaching and try to help you be a great behavioral coach. Our whole coaching process is based on a philosophy called feed forward. Feed forward is a fascinating idea, and it's an exercise that I've done now with thousands and thousands of people in leadership classes. Here's the way the feed forward exercise works. I ask every participant in class to talk to as many people as they can talk to in 10 to 15 minutes. And here are the rules of the exercise. Rule number one is you have to let go of the past. Let go of the past. We spend too much time looking at the past anyway. How many of you have been impressed by your spouse, partner, friend, or significant other's near photographic memory of your previous sins, which have been documented and will be shared to help you get better? How many of us have helped other people by impressing them with our memory of their previous sins? How useful is this anyway? First thing I tell people in the exercise is we're not going to talk about feedback about the past. We're only going to talk about ideas for the future. Then the second rule in the exercise is you can't judge or critique others' ideas. All you can do is listen to the ideas. Think about what people say, take notes, and say thank you. People in this exercise have two goals. One goal, when they're in that listening mode, is called learn as much as you can, and the other goal is help as much as you can. Now let's say I'm working with someone whose issue is listening, and my issue is more positive recognition. The way the exercise works is I'd say, I want to do a better job of giving people positive recognition. I had a couple of ideas to help me for the future. What would they be? I shut up, listen, take notes, and say thank you. The other person says, Marshall, I want to do a better job of listening. Had a couple ideas to help me. What would they be? I give them the ideas. They shut up, listen, take notes, and say thank you. We shake hands, go out and talk to another person. Whoever ends up having the most conversations wins the prizes. At the end of the exercise, I ask people, what was this exercise like? Give me one word to describe your reaction to this exercise. What is the most common word people mention? Fun. Fun. What's the last word you think about in thinking of any feedback and development activity? Fun. Yet 95% of the people define this as fun, not painful, awkward, embarrassing, or uncomfortable. Why? A few reasons. One is it's quick. And one of the things I want to teach you about coaching is be fast. Get to the point. People can't remember 8 unrelated words on a piece of paper anyway. We can give them 50 different ideas. We're just wasting our time. And the more we talk to people, what tends to happen to the quality of ideas? They get worse. Let's say I talk to you for a couple minutes. I give you my 3 best ideas. Then I talk some more. Now I hear my 4th best idea. Now I talk.
Next, I've prepared a short interview with my mom. In the interview, I ask her questions about what has been discussed in the book, as well as the documentary so far. Hi, I'm here today to ask you a little about leadership. How do you see yourself as a leader in the workplace?
Well, in lots of ways, I guess. I teach nursing, and I see myself as a leader of and a role model for my students. I also work at a hospital in pediatrics, and while I'm not in a formal leadership position there, because of my teaching position, staff often see me as someone they can ask questions of and bounce ideas off of. Then at school, I chair the curriculum committee, so that's a formal leadership position, and which I strive to work with my committee members to be sure the curriculum is sound and rigorous and up to date. So I think in several ways I see myself as a leader in the workplace.
Do you ever get caught up in success while at work?
I guess it depends on your definition of success. I think many people equate success with promotions and pay raises and increasing responsibilities and being high on the organizational chart, but I consider myself successful if I'm able to meet the goals that I set for myself. And I try to be realistic with my goals and consider my strengths. I also recognize the importance of one's teams being successful. So instead of focusing just on my success, I try to think more about what I need to do in order for the team as a whole to be successful.
Do you ever feel like you add too much value to a coworker or a student?
Well, I guess I don't think that I add too much value to a coworker or a student. I do absolutely feel like I add value to them. For faculty, for instance, develop reports and do policies and procedures that my coworkers use in their work. And then I serve as a sounding board for them when they have issues that they need a colleague to help them with. And I work with my coworkers to make changes to our curriculum in order to strengthen it. And we all work together to determine how best to support our students' success and add value to them. I work with students in a number of different ways, all of which I hope are growth-producing and value-added for them. I have both the classroom as well as clinical responsibilities since I'm a nursing instructor. I get not only to see my students learn theory and content in the classroom, but also to put it into practice in the hospital. And seeing them grow into future nurses is very rewarding, and it just feels like much value has been added to the student in this process.
Do you ever play favorites with students and or coworkers?
I don't think I intentionally play favorites, but for instance, with coworkers, certainly the ones that you spend more time with and get to know better, and you know what kinds of things they're passionate about. When those things come to the table in some way that needs your support, I think you just inadvertently, without necessarily even realizing it, tend to sort of lean in their favor if it's something that requires a vote. With students, I think it's just sort of a natural occurrence sometimes. Students reflect an interest in your particular subject area, and they tend to ask more questions. They want to know more, and their interest just in general makes you pay more attention to them and give them more time. And certainly with students on some things, you never play favorites, such as grading. You have to be objective in those times. So, sometimes to help me in this, I will grade papers blindly, making sure I cover up names before I start grading, and that way I won't know what student wrote the paper, and I can grade it objectively in that manner and not be clouded by who an individual is.
What kind of things do you try to do to resolve minor issues?
I think the most important way to resolve minor issues is to be sure to have open communications. If people will talk with each other and not have what I call hidden agendas, which is things that they want to make happen that they don't really discuss out loud with anyone, then I believe many things never reach the level of being an issue. When it's time to resolve issues, I try to be sure that all the people involved are around the table to determine the best solution. And then I also try to make sure we have some evidence or data of some kind to help shed light on the particular problem. And that way I think it helps people to be more objective in determining what the best way to solve the problem is.
Through Goldsmith's ability to identify and analyze these destructive habits, as well as find solutions for them, Goldsmith creates an excellent book. What Got You Here Won't Get You There is an excellent read, and I recommend it for anybody who is looking for success in the workplace